Good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you all to this session of compliances under e-waste regulations. This session we have kept in furtherance of our last session, which we have taken up to share insights on basics of environmental law. So I welcome all of you to this session on behalf of Lex Comply team and Corpus Legal team. Today, the agenda will be to share the basics of e-waste rules. Going ahead with that, we will also share the we will share the applicability of the e-waste. We will share the different compliances for different categories of people covered under e-waste regulations. And followed with that, there will be a Q&A session. During the Q&A session, you can always keep your messages. You can send your queries on the chat boxes and we'll be happy to respond to that. So I have with me Mr. Saurabh, Advocate Saurabh Anandji. So in the previous session also, Saurabh Anandji have enlightened us about the e-waste, about the different compliances on environmental laws. There are a few members who might not have joined last time, so just for everyone. So Saurabh Anand is a law graduate with industry experiences of more than a decade. He has worked for some large corporates like Daikin and has been instrumental in industry setup and business setup practices, which not only involves your basics like company formations, but primary towards all the licenses and approvals required for setting up a factory at the ground level, which may be your factory licenses, environmental regulations, and labor laws or legal metrologies or regulatory laws. I, on behalf of Lex Comply team, welcome Saurabh Anandji. I myself is Gaurav Jain, founder of Lex Comply. Am I not audible, Saurabh?
Audible, sir.
Okay. Ramji, we are just trying. What is the problem in your system? So, I'm a member of ICSI and Bachelor of Law with more than 20 years of experience, primarily on advising the corporates on compliance matters and helping them in setting up compliance management systems. And I will be contributing wherever required in this entire session. Just a quick introduction of Lex Comply. So Lex Comply is an organization who has been serving to more than 20,000 users, 250 plus corporates on compliance matters since 2015. Our primary application is compliance management system, followed by a contract management system. We also have a very innovative library, or you can say Google of compliances, which is LexBuddy, wherein you can do research on compliances for more than 1,700 or more than 2,000 Indian laws, wherein you have also a checklist of more than 1 lakh compliances inbuilt into it. Now, moving ahead, I'm just requesting now, so I'm handing over to Saurabhji to start the session on our primary topic for the day, that is compliances under e-waste regulation. Saurabhji, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, in continuance, as Gaurav-san says, in continuance with the previous session on basics of environment law, this time we took up the e-waste rules, which is recently a very hot topics among the industries. Not only those who are dealing with electric and electronics equipment, but all the corporates who comes under the ambit of bulk consumer. So we are going to brief you all the aspects of e-wastes and also try to give you the, along with compliance, what are the industry challenge, what could be the solutions, and if you have any questions you are facing while uh, executing the e-waste rules in your organization, then this is the correct forum. You can ask us. We will try our best to satisfy your query. So basically, the governing body of environmental in India is Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is the main apex ministries. Under this, National Green Tribunal, Central Pollution Control Board, and State Pollution Control. Central Pollution Control is the body who will govern the e-waste. This is the nodal agency, and all the e-waste related activities will carry through the CPCB only. Earlier, it is handled by sometime states pollution control board also, but after since the new rule is become applicability, the majority is shifted to Central Pollution Control Board. So Harsh, can you go to say next slide, please? So on this slide, we would like to give you the brief of how e-waste rules has developed in India. So first time e-waste rule is introduced in India is e-waste management and handling rule 2011. And this rule gives the basic tenets of the existing e-waste rules 2022. But unfortunately, that rule is not very much binding upon all the industry. But it's just give a pace. So the basis that government notified the e-waste management rules 2016, which will bring the mark shift change in the electronics waste industry in India. This rule is set up the all the formalize all the non unorganized e-waste recycling unit into organized recycling structure, and this rules gives a very much framework under which all the industries, recycler, producer, manufacturer, everybody settle. And now this rule has very good in terms of deliverables. After that, considering the change, considering the industry request, government notified e-waste management rule 2020 in 4th November 2022, which make effective from 1st April 2022. Under this, total 134 items are covered. And these items are divided under, for example, electric and electronic equipments, which includes information technology and telecommunication equipment, under which 27 types of electronics are considered. Consumer electrical and electronics and photovoltaic cell. Under this, total 16 types of electronics products are covered, like AC, refrigerator, others. Large and small electric and electronic equipments. Under this, total 34 types of large and small electric and electronic equipments are covered. Further, government also categorized electrical and electronic tools, which is with exceptions to large scale stationary industrial tools. Under this, government has notified 8 types of electric and electronics tools, which is covered under this. Then government also consider electronic toys, laser and sports equipments, under which they have identified total 6 types of this type equipments. Further, they bring medical device under the ambit of e-waste also. Though they distinguished by 10 types of medical device, but definition are so inclusive that more or less all the medical device who has the electric and electronic features are covered under this law. And last is laboratory instrument, under which they notify 2 types of laboratory instrument, but definition are in such a way that any laboratory instrument under which some electric and electronic components are involved are covered under this rule. So if we go by the Schedule 1 of e-waste management rules 2022, it has long-lasting and very large impact on industries, whether they're producing small or large. One more addition is that this time they cover small scale industries also. So they cover every type of industry who are involved in by any means that covered under dealing in these type of equipments are covered under the e-waste management rules. Now we will go to next slide on what on which whom it is applicable. Harsha, please. Next slide, please. Okay. So first we will discuss applicability of e-waste rules. Applicability are these are applicable on manufacturer first, producer, refurbisher, dismantler, or recycler who involved in manufacturing, sale, transfer, purchase, refurbishing, dismantling, recycling, and processing of e-waste or electronic equipment listed in Schedule 1, which we talked in previous slide, including their component, consumables, parts, and spares, which makes the product operational. But so if we go by definition, they cover everyone who are dealing in these type of equipment by any means are covered under the e-waste rules. But this rule is not applicable on few on whom the waste batteries as covered because they are covered under the battery waste rule, packaging plastics which is covered under plastic waste management rules, micro enterprises as defined in micro, small, and medium enterprises, and last one is radioactive waste as covered under the provision of atomic energy. So except this, anybody dealing in any of the equipments, 134 type of equipments are covered under the e-waste rules. Next slide, please. Now we are covering few important definition which impact everyone. First one is bulk consumer. So as per the definition, who is a bulk consumer? A consumer, a person or entities or a company who is using at least 1,000 units of EEE, electronics equipments, are called as bulk consumer. Then concept is extended producer responsibility. Extended producer responsibility means this is a very crucial part and we all have to understand it very means the responsibility of producer of electric and electronic equipments as given in Schedule 1 for meeting recycling target as per Schedule 3 and Schedule 4. Schedule 3 and Schedule 4 we will explain in next slide. Only through registered recycler of e-waste to ensure environmentally sound management of such waste. So as per, under the EPR, government are going to give us the target, which we explain in next slide. Say 100 units of our product, which is covered under the EE, electric, electronics, and equipments. Then we have to collect such target and get it recycled in environment friendly manners. So EPR is the responsibility of each and every producers. Next one is manufacturer. Who are the manufacturer? One who is manufacturing the electronic equipments which are covered under Schedule 1, that 134 items. They are called as manufacturer. Now come to the producer, which is very exhaustive in itself and cover each and every part. So who are the producer? First one is manufacturer and who are offered to sell electric and electronics equipment and their component or consumables or part or spare under its own brand. For example, if we take example of, we all use the Vivo, OnePlus, Apple mobiles. These are electronic equipment. If they are manufactured by Apples and sold by Apple, then Apple covers under the manufacturer. Next one is the brand owner. Then who is the brand owner? Brand owner offers to sell its own brand, assembled electric and electronic equipment and their components or consumable or spare parts by other manufacturer or suppliers. For example, if I am not a manufacturer of, say, uh, again we take the example of Apple. Apple doesn't have any factory as on date on in India, but they are manufacturing. Their manufacturing factor is Foxconn. So Foxconn is the manufacturer, but Apple is a brand owner. So Apple covered under this provision of brand owner. Second one is offer to sell imported electric and electronic equipments and their components or consumable or parts. So any product which is not manufactured in India, but some of the company or entities bring that product XYZ from outside India and selling it in their own name as a brand or as a product, then they covered under the definition of producer. Or who import, uh, first one is the fresh product, second one is the producer who import used, means second hand electric and electronic equipments. Here you can, for a better understanding, you can consider the costly medical equipment, which is very costly, in whose price is in crores. So sometime in the some entities in India bring the second hand equipments and sell it in India. So under this rule, they comes under the ambit of definition of producer. The key points which we all have to consider, the last line, irrespective of selling technique used as dealer, retailer, e-retailer, etc. So you can, you, by whatever name you sold the product in India, you are covered under the producer. If you are engaged in the business of bringing some product in India, electronics product, and selling it by any means, then you are covered under the producer. And if you are a producer, then you have to meet the EPR responsibilities as defined by Government of India, and you have to. Can you go to next slide, please? Next slide, please, Harsh. Okay. Before going further, I will like to explain the Schedule 3 and Schedule 4. Schedule 3 talks about the companies who are existing in India and selling their electric and electronic equipment since long times. So they have to achieve some target, EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility, under which in financial year 2023 to 2024, they have to collect and recycle 60% of quantity of EEE placed in market in year X minus Y, where X is average life of the product. Now, one term is come average life of a product. Average life of product means government has defined some average life of each electric and electronic equipment defined under Schedule 1, that 134 items. Here we took the example of, say, laptop, air conditioning, washing machine. So government says laptop life is 5 years as per government. So average life is 5 years. And now if somebody 5 year from 2023 is 2022, 2021, 2020, 2020, 2019, 2018. So whatever the item, say for example Dell or Apple laptop, they sold in 2018. Say for example, if they sold 100 item, 100 laptops, their average life is 5 years. So in 2023, that 100 item, 60% of that item sold in 2018 has to be collected by producers. So it means that Apple has to collect 60 laptops and get it recycled through recycler, authorized recycle. This is the completely mathematical formula and concept which is used by CPCB and all the industry from past 5, 6 years, 7 years. since Rule 2016, and this is the Schedule 1 target which every producer has to do as a compliance. One of the key point we have to consider under that, the importer of used electric and electronic equipment shall have 100% EPR. So this 60%, 70%, and 80% are only for fresh first time equipments. If equipments are used, imported and used, then the producer has to recycle total 100. It means that if a company A is importing 100 laptop in 2018, then they have to get it recycled all the 100 in 23-24. So what law says so? Then come to Schedule 4. What Schedule 4 says? Schedule 4 is for those who started sales operation recently. In that case, the number of year of sales operation is less than average life of that product. So for example, some new company has come who is selling laptop. Laptop average life is 5 years, and they start their activity in 2021 or 2020 or 2022. In that case, they have to collect target as per Schedule 4. Means in 2024, they have to recycle only 15%. But 2024-25, they have to recycle 20%, and 25-26 onward, 20%. For next 2 financial years. Once they reach to the average life, means 5-year target, their business reached to 5 years. For example, when somebody started business 2021, once they reach in 25-26, means they obtain the average life of laptop period. So from 26-27, they have to collect as per Schedule 3. So this is what, it's all completely mathematical. And if you go to CPCB website, and while registering as a producer, then you will they automatically calculate your target and give it to you. So this is the every producer has to tie up with recycler and collect the target and get it recycled, submit the certificate to CPCB. So we will give you the details of how it will do in next slides. Harsa, can we go to next slide, please? So, now we are coming to the compliances. So we are moving for first compliances, what you have to do. So if you are from law background or not, if you are in industry, then the very first thing we have to do is registration with the authority. Here in this case, our authority is Central Pollution Control Board. They have created a e-waste portal on which every manufacturer, producer, as I told earlier, cover importer and brand owner both, refurbisher and recycler, to registered over Central Pollution Control Board portal, e-waste portal, e-waste EPR portal. All the activities are online, on which the producer, recycler, refurbisher, and manufacturer has to visit, get themselves registered, and do all the compliances what they have to do. As on date, only registration are open for producer and recycler only. For refurbisher and manufacturer, what the government officer says, the portal will be open by end of the July. Then while registering, what are the actionables are? So separate registration for each categories. This is a very critical thing. Can you go back, please? Separate registration for each category. For example, let's take example of say example of Daikin. Daikin Air Conditioning is an air conditioner manufacturing company. So they are manufacturing air conditioning in India also. They are selling their product in their own brand. So they are comes under the definition of producer also. And sometimes they are importing also. So they covered under 3 categories: manufacturer, brand owner, and importer. So in that case, they have to register under 2 categories, A and B, because producer cover both importer and brand owner. So they have to register themselves as manufacturer also, producer also. Earlier in 2016 company who are having manufacturing facility in more than 2 states, they have to register themselves with CPCB. If a manufacturer, but in new law 2022, manufacturer has to get themselves registered with CPCB only. So company X has to register themselves with CPCB as a manufacturer and a producer. Means they have to do two registrations, producer and manufacturer, as a company. Second one is come to the action now, very important, which I would like to say, that shall not carry out business without registration. This is a very stringent provision which is incorporated in e-waste and plastic waste and batteries waste. So what does this mean in industry practice? If I am a producer, I am a business owner, I am selling any product, then I not supposed to do business with other entities who is dealing in such uh, product which need to be registered under e-waste also. Then we are supposed to not to do business with them. So in that case, if I take example of refrigeration, we all know fridge, refrigeration, they are one of the key component is compressor. So what does industrial practice means that any compressor manufacturing unit will not sell their compressor to any refrigeration or fridge making industry who doesn't have registration under e-waste management rules. So if you go by this provision, this is a very strict and stringent provisions. Means you are not supposed to do business in India if you are not registered under the rules. Come to the next point, shall not reveal any unregistered entities, which I already covered. Fourth point, registration by providing false information. There is a concept of environmental compensation charge may be levied. Now there are two things. One, if we are not get registers, we are non-compliance, then there is a provision of imprisonment, penalties, and even cancellation of registration. But concept of environmental compensation is very much quaint. I'm giving over just 2-3 lines on environmental compensation. That in 2018, environment NGT has given a notice and issue a judgment after considering the all stakeholder that if a entities is in the continuous violation of law, then the authority, after giving due opportunity and due deliberation, put environmental compensation on that factory or that entities. The objective of putting environmental compensation should be closure of industry, means those who are polluting industry, or such a heavy penalty proportionate to the impact on the pollution. So I will suggest each and every industry representatives take it seriously. If you are polluting air, water, means soil, then CPCB and MOEF will impose environmental compensation, and that is going to be huge. They have their separate formula under for calculating environmental compensation. So we will cover sometime else later on. Fifth one is pay registration fee to CPCB based on the capacity of e-waste. So maximum registration fee is 15 lakhs. Those industry who is producing more than 1,000 metric ton and 5,000 metric ton, they have to pay a registration fee of 15 lakhs. Can you go to next slide, please? So here we have identified e-compliance, which everyone has to do as per their category. So first we will go for manufacturer. So what manufacturer has to do? What we talked earlier, they have to register it on CPCB portal. Second one, ensure that the recycling of e-waste generated during the process. So liability on manufacturer put in such a way that those waste which are generated during the manufacturing process, means defective metal, some leftover, any kind of thing you can think about that if you have well versed with the manufacturing activity, those should be handed over to authorized recycler and ensure that they will recycle in environmental friendly manner. Third one, they have to file quarterly and annual return with on CPCB portal. CPCB portal means what I told earlier. Every manufacturer has to register themselves on CPCB EPR portal, and on that portal they have to submit file annual and quarterly returns. Fourth one is very important: reduction in the use of hazardous substance. Hazardous substance, ROHS, means cadmium, lead, boron, all these substance in the manufacturing of electric and electronic equipments and their components and consumable or spare parts. So this compliance is covered under restriction of ROHS, restriction of hazardous substances. Fifth one is that use a technology or methods as to make the end product recyclable. So government intention is not only the safe disposal of e-waste, but they are also emphasis that manufacturer must follow such technology which make the product easily recyclable. Sixth one is, which is applicable to all categories, that we are not supposed to store e-waste beyond 180 days, and every manufacturer or every facilities must have designated area where only the e-waste must be stored, that to a maximum up to 180 days. Last one is that transportation of waste generation from manufacturing or recycling destines to final disposal to treatment, storage, disposal facilities should be as per hazardous waste rule. So here I would like to bring some new knowledge. Those who are aware of rule e-waste rule 2016, where they have mentioned that form 2, form 6, how the movement of e-waste will be take place. But in existing now applicable rule, that rule 2022, they have removed these clauses from the e-waste, and they mention that all these transportation, storage, and disposal is governed by hazardous waste rule 2022 2016. So under that there is a form and process defined which we have to follow while storing and transportation activity. Now come to these are for major compliances for manufacturer. Now we come to the producer. Producer, as I told you, the importer and brand owner, they also have to take separate registration on EPR portal. They have to obtain and implement EPR. So what we say is the target to collect the waste with, as per the EPR schedule 3 and schedule 4. Responsibility put on producer, not on manufacturer, not on bulk user, not on recycler or refurbisher. This is the EPR responsibility solely on producer only. So one company who is manufacturing, they don't have need to do the EPR activity. They just manufacture and sold it to brand owner, importer, and they have the responsibility to do the compliances of EPR. Third point, awareness campaign. So under awareness campaign, government objective behind this is that the recycling every individual must be aware of their duties, and they don't dispose of the e-waste in non-environmental friendly manner. So means if we have a old mobile, then we must give it to authorized recycler only. Not that knowledge comes through awareness only. So the government has put some compliance liability on all the industry producer who is putting the electronics equipments in market, to aware and make spread the knowledge and the impact of e-waste in environment, so that everybody become conscious and they all do their due diligence as a individual citizens also. Next one is that producer also has to file quarterly and annual return on CPCB portal before the end of month preceding the quarter or year, as the case may be, to which the returns relates. Next one is purchase extended producer responsibility certificate limited to the extended producer responsibility liability of current year. So here I would like to explain very key component which is introduced under this 2022. Earlier, what practice is followed by the industry that if, say, for what we take the Apple example, that they have to collect 60 laptop in 23-24, then they general practice that what they do, they engage a recycler, and recycler on their behalf or with the help of PRO, they collect 60 laptop, get it recycled, and give the certificate to Apple that okay, you have to recycle this. This is your recycling certificate. Apple as a producer submit an annual return and quarterly return to CPCB. Along with that certificate, see, we have done the compliances EPR obligation. This is our certificate, and please accept our compliance as a done. Now, what happened? Government has introduced some new feature, and every activity is conducted through online process. What does this means? That all the recycler, refurbisher, manufacturer, producer going to be registered on CPCB portal. All the recycler will upload their certificate of recycling on the CPCB portal. See, as a producer, we will buy that certificate from the portal and we pay the money to recycler. So the transaction of EPR certificate is routed through Central Pollution Control Board portal. So one of the best relief for the industry is that there is a transparency, and the organization, the producer doesn't have to worry whether the recycler is cheating or not, because all the certificate is routed through CPCB, and CPCB is going to audit or vet the certificates background. So this is going to be very helpful from the point of view of compliances to industry or producer. So what point number 5 says that purchase extended producer responsibility certificate from the CPCB portal quarterly, which depend upon whatever, say for example that 60 is the target, say then 60 is divided by 4, so 15 each quarter. So in first quarter we have to buy certificate for 15 laptop, in next quarter we have to buy for 15 laptop, that will be set off. Another example that if we are not going able to buy the 15 laptop certificate in first quarter, then the first quarter target is shifted to second quarter and third quarter and fourth quarter. But at the end of the year, we must have to buy that 60 certificate for EPR certificate for 60 laptop. If we are anyhow, some way we are not able to buy that 60 certificate for 60 laptop, or something is left out, then we have to do the compliance very next year. Beyond that, it is not allowed to carry forward. Last point is that as a producer also, we are not supposed to store e-waste more than 180 days in designated area. And we have to maintain the record of all the waste stored and disposed of for transportation. Now come to the bulk consumer, which cover every companies more or less who has employees more than 1,000. For example, if you have more than 1,000 employer, then you must using 1,000 laptop, so you are covered under that. Even though you are using lights, fluorescent bulbs, all these are 1,000, more than 1,000, then you are covered under bulk consumer. Then what, as a bulk consumer, you have to do? You have to ensure that e-waste generated must be handed over to registered producer, refurbisher, and recycler. Here I will give you one industry example, very practical example. Few of the big companies is following that. Uh, in my previous company, what they used to do, they buy the laptop from Dell with a contract that all the laptop after 3 year or 4 year they will take, well, they will take back their laptop and they will provide a fresh laptop as per the contractual and commercial clauses. So here the company shifted their responsibility from themselves to the Dell. Dell get the all the laptop, means they achieve the target of recycling the product whatever they sold 5 year back, plus they get the customers, means the client get the client retained also. So this is a very few on good industry who has the long far sightedness. They are using the e-waste as a business opportunity also. Now next, here also the bulk consumer may not store e-waste more than 180 days. Some may ask that as a consumer, how could we store the waste 180 days? But please appreciate, sometimes the fluorescents were fused, some activity will be taken care, and we store the waste in some designated area which is lying and nobody is taking care of. Then there is a serious threat from the perspective of non-compliance, that you must dispose of all the waste generated in the organization within 180 days to the authorized recycler only. Now we are going to recycler. Every recycler, e-waste recycle, has to register on CPCB portal. Portal is already open for recycler and producer. Then all recycler has to follow guideline issued by CPCB for recycling of EE. So CPCB has, in May 2023, they issues 6 pages guidelines for recycler, how they will do recycling, what time should they take, what are the quantity, how and what are the infrastructure they have to do. So the details, you can say SOPs issued by CPCB for all the recycler. I will suggest every producer, while engaging the recycler, please go through that CPCB guidelines to vet who will be good recycler, and accordingly you choose your partner. Third one is that you must file, they must file quarterly return and annual return. So see what CPCB target is. Producer also has to file annual return and quarterly return. Manufacturer has to file annual return, quarterly return. Recycler also has to file annual return, quarterly return. So everyone will file. So, and CPCB at back end, they will check whether there is any manipulation of data or not. For example, manufacturer A is selling 100 units to recycler B. Producer selling 20 units to recycler B, and both are filing annual return. And recycler B is filing that A and B has sold me only 150 data. But actually, CPCB can check, they have sent 100 plus 20, 120 data. So this way, from the perspective of compliance, make sure all your data is aligned and backed with paper. CPCB will check, and they have the system to cross check all the data, whatever we are filing in quarterly and annual returns. Don't take it lightly. Last one, as I said, storage must not more than 180 days in designated area. Now come to the rule 7 of e-waste rules 2023. Refurbisher. This is introduced in 2022 rules. Not refurbisher concept is not covered under the rule 2016. Why they have do so? Government's objective behind giving the bringing the concept of refurbisher is that some of the product which may get, whose life may be extended only after making necessary changes or few changes. And in India, the second hand market is very large. So considering the Indian economic system, Indian buyer system, they have bring the concept of refurbisher. So under this, if some company want to be registered as a refurbisher, then they have to do follow two compliances. First one, they have to register under compulsory registration schemes, which is issued by MIT, Ministry of Electronic and Information Technology. Second one, they have to follow the standard of Bureau of Indian Standards, and they have the guidelines, detailed guidelines for each products, which are covered under the compulsory CSR schemes and BIS schemes. And say, for example, if laptop is refurbished and sold, then whoever is selling is the refurbished laptop, they must be registered under CRSC scheme with MIT and BIS standard. They have to follow from the technical aspects. Third one is that they also has to file the quarterly and annual return, and they are not supposed to store the e-waste more than 180 days. So these are the major compliances under e-waste management rules. And if we Harsha, can we go to next slide, please? Next slide, please, Harsh.
Saurav sir, just a moment, just a moment. Anjali ji, can you just post your queries on chat, please? We have seen that you have raised your hand. We'll just request you if you can post your queries on the chat, we'll respond back to you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Saurav sir, please.
Please. Okay.
Thank you.
Now I'm explaining the compliance related EPR responsibility in little bit more details. So what we have to do, every producer has to obtain and implement EPR as defined in Schedule 3 and 4. It is provided that producer, under the provision of, there are two type of issues. First one is that already some producer are registered under under the say EPR plan under the rule 2016. For them, government has says that. Oh, okay. Sorry. Before that, I would like to say that earlier CPCB is issuing offline EPR authorization. All the authorization are offline. Now CPCB has migrated their system from offline to online. So in that case, earlier there was 24 items covered under the e-waste rules, and for all those items, the organization, entities, company has the EP authorization, already authorized, offline authorization. So CPCB has told them to transfer their offline authorization to online. For that, they have created a system. The producer has to fill the history form and get the fresh authorization, but things will be same. They don't have to give new fresh data. But those who are new to the system, which are covered and from come under the ambit of law from 1st April, they have to do registration on online registration and provide the details for their production target, activity they are going to cover, CA certificate. So these are the details related to registration only. Then EPR target, when once you feel the quantity you are going to you are supposed to produce in the average life phase period. For example, refrigeration has 9-year lifetime. So whatever the product you have produced in 2013, 14 need to be mentioned in the form basis that CPCB will give you the target, and we have to do the recycling EPR obligation as per the target given by CPCB. Every producer has to purchase EPR certificate for the current year or anything is left out previous year. For example, if say for example A has a target of 1000 ton in 23-24 and 9000 ton for 22-23, but in 22-23 means previous financial year they are able to collect only 8000 metric ton. Then in 23-24, they have to collect the EPR obligation for the 10,000 existing and 1,000 previous year left year. So total 11,000 they have to process during the financial year. One of the leftover liability processing plus 5% of current years. So these are the provisions which we have to do as a EPR compliance. If we are not non-compliance under e-waste rules, which I said earlier, then imprisonment is of 5 years, fine up to 1 lakh or both if failures continue, fine up to 5,000 per day, and imprisonment extended to 7 years if failure continued beyond 1 year. And most dangerous clause is no business in India if you are not registered under the e-waste rule 2022. And for last one, which I explained you earlier, the environmental compensation may be imposed for continuous violation of all waste management rules. This is going to be the one of the factor which is impacting all the industries as on date. So if you have any questions, then please ask. This is what from my side. If you have practical questions, what you are facing, then we are happy to answer your queries based on our experience. Sorry.
Saurav, by the time some questions come up, I'm just opening LexBuddy. If you can just guide on what is the website for
Please.
registration under e-waste rules or the return filing, some guidance on that. And by that time, I'm sure the audience will be asking few queries around it. Uh, so just a minute. So if you can just explain the process of e-waste registrations by the time, and then the for that returns as well, please. Yes, Saurav sir, over to you.
One question has come that an IT company using laptop for providing the services to its customer will be categorized as bulk user if using 1,000 and more. Yes, you are covered under the
So yes, the answer
yes.
is yes. And unlike the previous rules, as bulk consumer, you will not be required to file any returns now under e-waste regulation, nor any registrations are required for any IT for as a bulk consumer.
Only obligation that you have to tie up with authorized recycler and have proper agreement and get it handed over to them, the recycler. Another possibility is uh, that you can hand it over the same to your employee. Because every company has their own policies for the same, that you can deliberate and discuss how to execute this policy in your organization. Okay, then go to next questions. Is this rule applicable to hotel industries? If you, Gaurav San has already.
Yes, Saurav sir, you can just explain the queries, just a process for registration, please, and the return, if any, if you can throw some light on that.
Return, okay, registration process. registration process. Okay, so for everybody, uh, can I share my screen, Gaurav sir?
Yeah, please go ahead, sir. I'm giving you the rights for that.
Okay. So let me know once your screen is visible to everybody.
It's visible, Saurabh sir.
Okay, so first you have to select the sign up things. As I said you earlier, the producer and recycler links are active. So if you click on producer, then they will ask for the EPR authorization. So means for the existing uh, producer who is registered under CPCB, if you click the yes, then they will ask authorization number. If you know, then we have to do and move forward as per the requirement. As a manufacturer, as I told, no activity is not still not active. A recycler, yes, you have to register on the recycler also. These two links are active as on date. If we go by what are the requirement on registration is required, then
So there are certain FAQs available which we can share on demand. Sarsan, if you can also guide us something on different returns and the forms. Do you want me to share the screen?
please.
Okay. Harsh, can you just share the screen, please? Again, the returns are also online. And as I said, like previously, the bulk consumers were also required to file the returns. So there is some sort of an ease for at least bulk consumer because they were facing a lot of hassles in filing the returns. Now there are different returns which are filed under e-waste, which you can obviously go and check on LexBuddy also. But since we have this session going on, so there are a few quarterly returns. Or there's an annual return to be filed by manufacturer. I'm just opening one of it. And then obviously by the producer, which Saurav San has explained. So Saurav San, so this will also be also filed on, just clarify me, Saurav San, this will also be filed online?
all everything is online. Now once
Correct.
you create the login, then all the things, all the data is going to be filled online.
And this is to be filed online for every month, every quarter, or every year, depending upon the category. So if you need any information, you can have it from here. Or you can obviously the different categories for recycler, refurbisher, manufacturer, producers. So it's all available. And since it is online, there is no prescribed as such format being provided. So you can always go to this website, which is being mentioned, CPCB or EPRE waste cpcb.in, to file all your returns under the login that you have created from time and again. So we have, I think, one more query. Do real estate company need to be registered? If yes, then under which category? So Praveerji, again, since real estate company will also be using the electronic and electrical products, and you are not manufacturing any electronics, you are not producing, you are not refurbishing or recycling. So a real estate company will also come under the category of a bulk consumer if they have 1,000 or more units. So that is required. From the point of view of compliances, it is, as a bulk consumer, it is very simple. Number one, you have to ensure that these e-waste is being stored properly and separately. They are not thrown out. they are being disposed of only to the registered vendors. And when we say registered vendors, means the vendors who are authorized under pollution control by the Pollution Control Board to take these e-waste. Uh, Saurav San is giving you an example of laptops here, wherein if you have things like laptops, then you can engage with these registered dealers of Lenovo's, IBM's, because they are considered as registered authorized person to take back all these things. The third compliance primarily is that the time period of storage of the e-waste from the date of disposal, from the date of generation, should not exceed 180 days. So these are typical compliances to be done by bulk consumers. So there is no return, there is no registration as a bulk consumer. Only thing is we have to store it properly. We have to dispose of it to the registered vendors only. So it is very important that you have that complete documentation in place. I'm just referring to the question of Vaibhav Kumar. If any producer started business in the year 2016 and as per the schedule 4, that producer has to comply with EPR for 15%, then how come the recycler will produce the EPR for this product? Vaibhavji, I think we can connect on this question because this can become a technical thing to discuss. We'll be happy to share the number. I'm sharing with the contact numbers and email IDs on this your screen. You can contact us and do a detailed discussion on this. If a bulk consumer who does not carry 1000 assets, then on that case, is it need to be registered? Praveerji, as I clarified, bulk consumer will not be required to get registration in any situation. There is no registration for bulk consumers. Okay. Sorry, so there is a message from HJ. I'm sure that the name is coming in correctly. Is there any friendly policy of the government for MSMEs in case of small refurbishers? Saurav-san, correct me if I'm wrong. As if now, there is no discrimination in terms of the turnover or the quantity you are refurbishing, uh, or the category of e-waste you are refurbishing. All the refurbishers or recyclers or dismantlers are coming under e-waste regulation for their registrations, returns, and the practices to be followed by them.
Correct, sir. Well, if they have to check in which state they are establishing their unit, and they have to check with if they are talking about incentive, that the state government incentive may be considered. But as per the CPCB is considered, what you said is correctly right.
Okay. What is the timeline to get authorization after submitting the application on portal? So Saurav sir, is there any timeline which has been mandated by which the department will automatically give this registration, or it is per se if it's no deadline has been fixed up? To my understanding, there is no deadline or
Yes, sir.
obligation
They
on the
are saying
department to process the application in a time frame.
they are saying within 30 days we will issue the registration, but always there is a issues. They can raise query.
Okay. So Vaibhavji, I hope your question is answered. So though it has been mentioned 30 days, but there is no definite timelines like any other government processes. So there is no auto approval in case of a delay. Thank you. Again, for if you need any further details, we'll just sharing the screen. You can contact us or you can refer to our portal, wherein you have a lot of literature available on environmental laws across India. And we are also sharing the contact number of Saurav San on the screen and helpline numbers of our organization. Meanwhile, we'll be happy to respond to the queries. Vaibhavji screen we have not still shared. We are just sending it across to you in few seconds. So okay, data is available in the chat. Show the screen also. And You can, I request all the audience to check their chat. The data has come on the chat. Lexbuddy.com. So these are the contact numbers. Plus, you can also visit lexbuddy.com, the website we have just shown you. I just go back to this website. Can you just go on the home page? So, so this is a portal which helps you to give the compliance checklist of 1700 Indian laws. It also helps you to identify the applicable laws and compliances. If you have keyword search is also available on this. You can check a lot of corporate actions. So you can contact Harsh for this, or any of us to have the demo of this. You can create your trial versions on lexbuddy.com. It is being updated regularly. You get all the legal updates, not only in terms of the PDF, but new compliance obligations that come up time and again. So and it's a very, very detailed compliance checklist available. We have few more questions. Where can I access earlier this video recording? Thanks. So certificates will be issued soon, as in a 2-3 days time you will get in your inboxes. Then regarding the e-videos, we will be sending on our YouTube channel. Can you just mark the YouTube channel here? I'm just sending the link of the YouTube channel also here. And plus you can also contact us, any one of us, on our email IDs. Saurabh San, can you also text your email ID, please? In the chat.
Done, sir.
So we also had, okay. Any other queries by the time the data is coming up? This is YouTube. Saurabh San, we are waiting for your email ID to be mentioned.
Sir, already sent in chat box.
Okay. Have you any office in NCR? Yes, we do have office. So Saurabh San office is in Delhi. We have office in Delhi and Noida. So, I'll just request the members, because because of, I think, some tech issue, their names are not coming correctly. So if they can mention their name, it will be easy to recall. So yes, we do have office in Delhi, Gurgaon, and Noida. email ID नहीं है. Any other query of any other member? Great. So thanks for joining this, and on behalf of Lex Comply team and Lex Buddy team and all the attendees, we thank Advocate Saurabh San for giving this session. And as usual, his style of delivering is quite simple and quite informative. And we look forward to host him more on environmental topics and other key relevant topics.
Thank you, Gaurav-san.
And regarding, sir, office addresses, again, you can contact us separately on this. We'll be happy to share the details to you, sir. And thanks to all of you for joining us. And we look forward to host you more in these sessions. And we'll be having more different topics next month. And we'll keep you posted with the new updates on compliances. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much.